Here we go. Tell us your name, your age if you're comfortable, what you do, and where you live.
I'm Stephen Redfield. I'm 61 and I am a violinist. I perform a lot and I also teach. I've just retired from a career of teaching at a university, and I live on the Santa Fe River here in Santa Fe.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, Stephen, tell us a point of inspiration that has greatly influenced your creative life. This can be something in your field, it can be anything. It can be a person, it can be an idea, a thought. Just think a little bit about something that has really influenced your art form.
Well, one of the things that has always attracted me to music has been the infinite opportunity to learn. And I feel like I could play music one day and learn it again the next day with a new perspective and in a new way and with a new understanding. And I'm not just saying a better understanding, sometimes yes, but also just a different understanding. And I feel like coming back to a piece after a year or 5 years is all the more opportunity to see it in a new way and to understand it and its impact on me as an artist in a new way. And connected to that is how teaching music has kept my mind open to all the ways to understand music through the perspective of how it can be taught, how it can be learned, and how it can be interpreted by any number of students I might have. So if you're thinking of one piece, which we often teach the same piece over and over again, there are so many facets over time to how you can look at that piece through your own lens and experience, and the experience of teaching, and also the experience of those you've been teaching or sharing your knowledge with. So it feels like an infinite learning process and growing process, and sort of a reflection of life in general, how every day invites a new perspective and a new way of thinking and experiencing.
That's wonderful. And it really speaks to what you're saying, really speaks to how music and the infinite qualities of music are really sort of a mirror of the vastness of the human condition, really. And I find that very powerful, what you're saying. Thank you. Wonderful. So I consider the violin to be one of the most difficult instruments to play. Certainly, perhaps of all the string instruments I can imagine, because it's the smallest and things are, more specific in that way. And like, I'm not a violinist, so I'm running words in your mouth, and you might disagree. But when things are going very well for you, in performance or even in practicing or whatever, what does that feel like in the body? Do you feel a shift at all? Are you aware? Like, can you describe that? If it happens at all?
I could try. Yes, it does happen. And I would say it happens more often in practice and rehearsal than in concerts, but it's welcome whenever it comes. And I would say a loss of self, both conscious self and also physical self, is maybe that moment when you feel very free and very expressive and very uninhibited and unself-conscious. And there's maybe a lack of struggle, that the struggle is somehow you're unburdened by struggle. I don't know how to put it besides that. In terms of physicality, like somehow everything is working in consort. Your body and the instrument and the room and the acoustics and maybe even your colleagues and your emotional and intellectual space at the moment all sort of come together.
That's well articulated. However, I could imagine that in the moment you're not thinking any of that.
No, but looking back on it, you might think, what magic that was,
right.
And what was that magic?
Right.
And so analyzing it maybe is how I might have come up with those words, but in the moment, you're right. It's letting go and experiencing something that maybe you're not in control of, but that you feel you just contribute to in a beautiful way.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And then further, I'm just curious, when you're in that state, the re-entry to the self, being a corporeal body, and with this thing in your hand, what does that feel like when you come? It's not like you go into some Zen state and then just come back and like you're awake now, but there is a transition when that amalgam of effort and music and communication and collaboration, the beauty of that recedes a little bit. What do you feel, or do you feel that then, like, oh darn, I'm back here?
Yeah, I mean, if I were practicing and then the phone rings, that might be sort of a rude awakening or a reawakening into reality. Or if I'm in some altered state playing a concerto and someone in the front row drops their program,
right.
That could also be sort of an unfortunate sort of snap back to reality.
Yeah.
And a distraction like that, a colleague making a mistake or a misentry or something like that, these things happen. But I think I'm never unhappy with reality. I mean, it's okay to emerge from that wonderful place.
Yeah, wonderful. If we lived there all the time, it wouldn't be as special.
Yeah.
In any case. Okay, and so our last question is, sometimes I prep this question with an answer, and I'm not going to do that this time. Why does the world need what you do? Why is it essential for the world, people, our civilization, to have this thing?
It's a very good question. As a listener, I feel that I am elevated by great art and great music, and that there's an expression of beauty in sound, not always beautiful sound, but beauty in sound, and also an expression of beauty in structure. And those might be in their best moment carried by a creative performer who has something to say about all that, something personal to say about all that. And so in that way, you can understand sort of a piece on several different levels as a listener, sort of how harmony and form creates a structure, how the composer uses those things to make a statement, and how the performer can interpret with his or her own slant to bring their own ideas and their own personality and their own take on that music. And I'm not sure how essential it is to everybody, but I feel like it's essential to me to hear it and to experience it. And I'm maybe rare among musicians. I hear a lot of music. I listen a lot, and not just to lessons and students, but to colleagues and to other performers, and in all kinds of settings. So I do enjoy it, and I feel it's important to me to hear it. In terms of playing, I can't say why it feels essential to me, except that I do feel like playing and performing is an opportunity for me to express myself in a deep way, in an important way, which is unique in my range of expression. So it's not verbal and it's not physical. It is what it is. And it feels unique and it feels essential. It feels like part of something I have to say and I have to say.
Mm-hmm. And if one expands that out of your essential drive to, show yourself through music, to express yourself through music, and the willingness for someone to accept that, an audience or anyone who's listening to you. I mean, it's just the way you're saying it, it's a very profound kind of unspoken agreement. You perform, the music is in the middle, and someone else's ears are taking it in the way. So there's like a double, your expression and their receiving of it and how they receive it. And both sides are infinite, which is, really a miraculous thing about music, I think. And anyway, that was wonderful. And so, Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your creative imperative. You are brilliant. It's been a delight. Thank you.
You're so welcome.